This is John from Desk, and this is Desk Dev Docs episode 9. And this has been an awesome week. Obviously, I'm really excited about the attention that Desk has got from Apple. What an honor and privilege. Again, thank you so much for being a part of my story and the story of this small app. Without you guys, this wouldn't have happened. Because clearly, if no one liked it and no one was using it, then it would not have been even considered a decent app. But the community we've created around the application and the people who are using it have been fairly vocal, and that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And so I just cannot express to you how grateful I am, because all I did was build it and hope that people would like it, and I think I've got pretty lucky with that. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for that. But that's not what I want to talk to you about today. In the last few weeks, I've really been thinking about what I could have done better. Now, you might find that silly, considering kind of the momentum we've been developing over the last few weeks. But especially the last week, I've just been retrospecting about how I could have done this better. Were there things that I messed up on that could have even created even more momentum, even more speed, even more velocity, if you will, if I had just done them right? And now is the best time to do that type of thinking, because very quickly, myself and many of you, we can be lulled into somewhat of an apathetic, kind of lackadaisical attitude, especially when things are going well. When things are going well, you kind of want to ride it, feel like, yeah, I've earned this, and earned a break, if you will. But what the reality is, small projects like this, or especially anything startup related, momentum has to be constantly generated so that things can continue to move forward, and you can never really get ahead of it. And so by thinking about what I could have done better, it also helps me to actively think about what I could be doing better now, so that a month from now, I won't be looking back today and saying, wow, that was a totally boneheaded move. Why didn't you do that? So there are 5 kind of core things that I could have done better. I want to enumerate those things and kind of give you some perspective so that you, when you launch your own project and do something similar, will not actually do these things. So I've got some notes here. So the first thing is tokens. Tokens. So this is specific to Mac and Apple developers. When you release an app, a Mac app, you get 100 copies to give away, essentially. And these are review copies, and there are a number of limitations to them. Most notably, the fact that you cannot actually rate and review the app if you use a token. I think that makes sense because you could hand them out to family and friends and say, hey, give me 5s. That would be totally bogus. But these are used for reviews, for sites who want to review the application to give you some good feedback and hopefully some press and some marketing as a kind of compensation, if you will. Well, as I said, you get 100 per version that you release in the store. And I used all of mine up way too quickly. And what I did wrong was I wasn't judicious enough. I wasn't calculating enough about who I was giving the review copies to. So what has happened is that as the application has built momentum, more and more people, kind of the bigger brands, the bigger blogs, the bigger technology review sites, those guys have come a-calling. And I am totally out. And so at the door, I have to apologetically tell them that I don't have a review copy or any more tokens left over. And unfortunately, the majority of them go away empty-handed. And they just say, hey, too bad. We would have loved to review it. And, we're not going to buy it to review. And that's a bummer because that's lost traction, that's lost marketing, and of course, as a natural outcause, that is lost sales and conversions. And so I'm kicking my butt just not thinking strategically and wisely about who I was giving out those review copies. And so I think that applies obviously to Mac developers, but I think it also applies to anyone else who's building products. I think you just need to be smart and wise about who you're giving review copies to, and make sure that you're not only giving it to the ones that are going to be really effective, but that you're doing it in a way that allows you to track those conversions. And so, total bummer. Wish I had done that better. Secondly, my support system that I created or I launched at release, I have now moved away from. And that is a significant shift, because a support system and kind of strategy and methodology is almost like supporting an entirely new app. And so that's a pain in the butt. And I just did not do enough of my own research, or I didn't really think through it well enough about the kind of support system that I could personally handle, given the amount of time, resources, and energy that I had to really work on this project. So I launched with UserVoice, which is great. It's a great application. It's just way too big for my own personal needs. I'm the only one triaging bugs and collecting that feedback. It was too much. It was too big of an application for me. And then at the same time, I don't want to do individual emails because I want to kind of crowdsource, consistent issues, so I don't have to continue to repeat myself. But I just didn't think through that process, which is kind of a bummer because I have had products in the past. I've tested out multiple support systems, and I don't know. It kind of escaped me. So I launched with UserVoice, but then I pivoted away, and now I'm using Discourse, which is a kind of a forum software. I'm using that to manage issues, which is much better. The community can actively engage with that, and I can capture the issues that I need to capture. But the point is, I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of time, a lot of cycles, a lot of energy booting up another one, and I should have done that on the front end. So if you're supporting anything, any product, or even a service, just make sure you got your support system in check, and that you do the right research. I wish I'd done that better. Thirdly, App Store optimization. I did some significant App Store optimization for my last App Store product, which was an iOS mobile app, and I didn't do it for this one. I have no idea why. Maybe it just kind of skipped my mind, but I just didn't think through the titling, and that specifically. Keywords are so important for organic search within the actual App Store, and I totally screwed that up. There's a lot to be said for, I just want you want the title of the actual application to be pretty and clean, but if you actually see some of the competitors within the store, they have front-loaded all of their titles with the right keywords. And there's been enough research around keyword optimization to significantly improve conversions and sales. And so I can't even imagine how many sales I have lost, how many sales I have totally missed out on because of that boneheaded move. For the next iteration, version 1.1, I plan on updating the title to really capture some of those keywords, so I'll recover some, but really there's never more of a strong push for sales than launch week or kind of launch month, and obviously we're beyond that. So total bummer. Should have thought about App Store optimization. And for anything non-App Store related, just optimizing for keywords within any existing networks makes a lot of sense, and just taking more time to think through that, I think, is really important. 4, something that I didn't do well is I didn't have very good goals. Now, I've stated in previous episodes that I did have goals. I wanted to sell 1,000 copies by the end of this calendar year. We were able to achieve that, which is fantastic. I feel great. So at least at this point, net, I am positive on at least the marketing costs for the actual application, though, so that feels great. I took our family out to eat last night to kind of celebrate the win of being awarded a Best App of 2014, and the meal was a little bit expensive, let's say, but it was delicious. And but my goal was modest, and I had a larger goal, which was kind of sell 10,000 copies by the end of 2015, which, as I mentioned before, would really, at least ballpark wise, it would help me feel good about the initial investment of development time that I've spent, because that's what I would have paid or charged myself to make if I was building this for someone else. But I didn't have any follow-on goals, and they weren't really stretch goals. At least, well, they felt a little bit of a stretch, but they're very modest, and I didn't really think through a scenario where I would actually surpass it. And so when I did, I came up with nothing. And honestly, I haven't had any mental bandwidth to sit down and really think about, okay, what should my new goal be for 2014? What should my new goal be for 2015? It could literally take 5 minutes. I could probably do it right after this video, but I probably won't because I'm exhausted right now. I've been up since 3 in the morning. But I should have done a better job. And I'm huge on goal setting. That's a huge part of what I do. It's a huge part of everything that I've done historically. I'm a huge proponent for great goal setting, and I didn't do it for myself. In fact, when my original goal was sell 5 a day, and then I thought, ooh, maybe I should go all out. And so I said, man, wouldn't it be awesome if I sold 15 a day? And I sold 3 on like the first Sunday. I was like, ooh, wow, my goals are pretty high. But anyway, the fact is, I could have done better on my goal setting and then follow-up goals in case those targets were moved. I just didn't think through that. Lastly, number 5, one of the things that I didn't mentally prepare myself for were really the amount of criticism that I would get, which is strange because I'm no stranger to criticism. My previous apps have had a buttload of criticism, and a lot of it goes personal because it's the internet, and so people enjoy attacking your character rather than the actual product. And so you would think that I would be ready for that, but I wasn't. And I'm not sure if there was anything that I could have done better, but I've just been thinking about how much I care about the reviews and how even the slightest negative remark completely floors me. And, despite maybe an incredible review moments earlier, I could read 100 positive reviews, and then it's the one person that says this application is the worst application in the world, and I take it really personally. And so I think it's just a gentle reminder for not only myself, but for you that if you're building products in the technology world and the internet, just prepare yourself. Just kind of mentally walk yourself through facing harsh criticism, and just remind yourself that it's not about you. It's probably not even about your product. It's just that people are weird, and the internet gives them license to be without filters, and that is just a part of the economy, the internet economy. But I guess I wish I'd spent a little bit more time meditating about that, so I could have handled some of the criticism a little bit better. So it's kind of a somewhat brief retrospective of 5 things that I could have done better for launch. Hopefully you glean something from it and could do a little bit better when you launch your own product. But here moving forward, I'm definitely going to sit down and do some more goals. But I'm going to really begin to rethink not only what I did wrong, but how I can not just recover, but really take some of those missed opportunities and turn them into very positive things. And I think every missed opportunity, can be converted into a very positive new opportunity. And I think that's the right way to look at it. So, hope you guys are having a great rest of the week. Hopefully that was helpful. I think this is the longest episode that I've ever had, but I definitely wanted to at least capture it while it was fresh in my mind and share it with you when I could. So have a great rest of the week, and I will see you guys online.